Hey, welcome to Weld.com, home of TIG Time. Hi, I'm Mr. TIG, and today we're doing a couple of episodes in Big Dog Garage, and I got a guy here with me. His name is Bernard Euclid, and Bernard gets involved in an awful lot of repairs, and he's allowed us to come in and share some of his work with him. So, Bernard, thanks for letting us come in.
You're welcome.
And,
You're welcome. My pleasure.
You've got a project here, and I find it very unique because of the age of the materials.
Well, this is a 1914 Detroit Electric, and the aluminum in the early days was questionable, so we don't know exactly what it is. It is aluminum, but we don't know how much of it is aluminum.
Okay.
And so it can be a real challenge to weld some of this stuff at times.
Okay, we say a 1914 Detroit electric car?
It's an electric car, and we're restoring the car. We're replacing all the wood in it because it's a wood frame with aluminum skins. So we're trying to use the original skins, but new wood behind it. It's all ash framed, and so that's why we're trying to repair these original pieces of. It might be easier to make new ones, but we're trying to keep it sort of original.
Okay.
So.
Well, what's been asked of me is to try to fill these old holes, because you're going to sand them off or grind them off, and you're going to re-drill the holes to match a better fit up.
Right, right.
Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to set the machine and do some cleaning action. We'll get into the technical detail in a few minutes, but once we finish this, I need for you to come in and take a look and make sure I've done it correctly.
Well, I'm gonna watch you, see if I can learn something here.
Okay, well, great. Great. So anyway, I'll go ahead and get my gear on, do all the weld repairs here, and we'll get back to you pretty soon. Okay, now I'm going to be filling in these holes, and again, this is a 1914 aluminum, so I have to surmise that there's a lot of trash elements in here. Now, normally, I would use a 1100 series filler material, but in this particular case, I'm filling in a hole. It's in a flat surface. It's going to get ground down. It's going to get repainted. So I'm going to elect to use 4043. Now, the reason for that is this filler has a little bit of silicon in it. So what that does is that slows down the problem called hot short cracking. So it means that the puddle stays liquid a little bit longer before it resolidifies, and you don't have quite as much cracking as you do in most of other alloys. So I'm going to go ahead and use 4043, fill this hole from one side, then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to wet it out on the opposing side. Going to give it back to the guys here in the shop, and they're going to grind it off flush, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to use a 1/16 tungsten. I'm using about 67 to 70% balance negative AC, 1/16 diameter tungsten. I actually only have 2% thoriate on here, and it works quite fine. My filler is a 1/16 diameter, and that works just fine for this thickness. Probably running about 45 amps. My argon setting is between 15 and 20 CFH, straight argon. Okay, now I'm getting ready to fill this hole right here, but take a look. I'm backing this up and almost making intimate contact with this steel block, and that's okay. So it allows the aluminum to go in, it'll hit the steel, it won't weld to the steel, but it'll flush things out so it just doesn't continue to fall. So I do that anytime that I can. Obviously you get into some situations where you have to fill a hole and it's all free falling, and your skill level has to pick up considerably. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this one, fill the rest of them, and then turn this over, and you can take a look at what the end result is. Okay, now I filled all the holes on one side, and believe it or not, it welded relatively clean. A few trash elements in here, but I welded from one side. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over, and let's see how it welds on the opposing side. Okay, I'm now on the opposite side, and what you can see here is I push through filler material, but also when I push through, I've got oxides. Yeah, so I'm actually asking the machine to clean the oxides off. Now, I do not necessarily have to have a steel backup now that I got the hole filled, because the only thing I'm trying to do now is I'm just trying to wet it out very flat. So I don't have any heat sink or anything here now. So I'm going to go ahead. I may have to add filler, not very much, but and I'll go in a little circular motion, and let's show you what the end result's going to be. Okay, well, I'm on the last hole that I'm filling, and you know what, they're welding relatively good, relatively clean. The machine's doing a great job. Have to add a little bit of filler, but you can see that it's cleaning up. I've got the cleaning action working in my favor. So dab few dabs here and there, and that should pretty well do it. Okay, you know, I filled the backside, and every hole filled pretty good. Some of them were a little dirtier than others, but overall it filled pretty good. So I'm going to get Bernard over here and have him review this, you know, see if it's going to fit his needs. But pretty amazed at material that's 1914, how well it did weld up. And again, the machines today have such a good cleaning action on AC that you can do this without any problem at all. So we'll get Bernard over here and see if he gives me the final quality control high sign.
First of all, you gotta have gray hair to do this properly, isn't that correct?
That is correct.
These young punks watching this video, I defy any of them to weld as good as this guy. You have to put the challenge up.
Well, I got to tell you, I have a cheater lens in there.
You got the cheater, so, and look, and you got the PlayStation helmet. Yeah,
Absolutely.
How long has it been since he's been with a girl that looked like that? Huh? I ask you that. But when you're a welder, those are the kind of women you meet. That's right. What are we doing?
You know, Bernard brought this to me. He said it's a 1914 component, aluminum. What car does it go on?
Detroit Electric.
Oh, Detroit Electric.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, there were a set of holes in here that are in their improper place.
Right.
This thing is being you know, reestablished, so I had to fill in the holes. It's an unknown aluminum,
Yeah.
1914.
Right.
So we filled them in, and I need to make sure that you guys are happy with the way that they're filled in.
How different is this from modern aluminum in terms of welding, in terms of what you have to use?
I'll tell you what's surprising is it welded very nicely.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I expect it to be extremely dirty and things spit out and all that.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of spots that were bad, but
But it's really not subject to oil and stuff. It's not.
Right.
It's not like
Yeah.
it's a crankcase or something, you know.
yeah. And just so you know, I welded from the inside out first. And what I mean by that is I welded on one side, pushed all the contaminants through, turned it over and welded, and it cleaned up very nicely.
I find that welding holes like that is always difficult because as soon as you hit it, the material wants to spread away from the hole.
It does. It absolutely does. And what I do is when I have an open hole, I like to rest it on a piece of steel or stainless steel, and it helps that problem. Mm-hmm. Once you get one side done and you turn it over, you don't have to worry about it. Then it spreads nicely, and you can do the back side without, you know, any heat sink device whatsoever.
You ever use like copper to back it up?
I do, but I tell you what, if you put copper in there, if it's a real small hole, it's okay. But if it's a large hole, what happens is the amperage that you need, it doubles or triples to get it
Heat the copper.
to heat. Yeah, the copper it does. It just sucks the heat out. So if I put steel there, I can start welding aluminum at about 1200 degrees. The steel will melt at 2500 degrees.
Right.
So yeah, I use all kinds of little techniques like that. But
Cool.
if that fits your needs, and
Yeah, and it looks like, well, you got the inside really nice, you got the outside real nice, so we can dress it up a little bit and make it fit back on its wooden frame.
that's sweet.
Yeah, that'll look great.
Well, thank you for watching TIG Time. I'm Mr. TIG.
First of all, you gotta have gray hair to do this properly, isn't that correct?
That is correct.
These young punks watching this video, I defy any of them to weld as good as this guy. You have to put the challenge up.
Well, I got to tell you, I have a cheater lens in there.
You got the cheater lens.
So,
And look, and you got the PlayStation helmet. Yeah.
absolutely.
How long has it been since he's been with a girl that looked like that? Huh? I ask you that. But when you're a welder, those are the kind of women you meet. That's right.